Welcome all of you to this initiative taken by Amit Sinha sir, the online initiative to reach out to all of you for the stuffs that are important for their forthcoming papers. I'm Kanik Shekhar and hello everyone again. Today I'll be discussing section 124A of the IPC, the Indian Penal Code, which is famously known as the sedition law. This law has been making news for quite some time, and today also a person has been booked under this law. There has been a huge opposition and confrontation because of the application of this law. So let us try to understand where this law comes from, what it actually does, what are the provisions, and why it is being opposed so much. And again, should we have this law or this law should be done away with? Let us try to examine it. These questions. Let us see the background. It was drafted by T.B. Macaulay, Lord Macaulay, and IPC was written some 10-15 years before 1870. So this sedition law is a late entry by Macaulay. And why a late entry? Because thousands and lots of small rebellions were happening in India at that time. And English particularly wanted to use it against the Wahhabis. Now, this Wahhabi movement also becomes very important for you, because if the sedition law uh, is a topic worth discussing, then where this comes from is also important for the exam. So please read about Sayyid Wahhabi and Shah Walilullah, who inspired this Wahhabi movement. This you will come across in your modern India. It was an Islamist revivalist movement. So we'll not discuss it here, but then the context is very, very important. And since Wahhabis, what happens is that this particular section 124A of the IPC, this deals with sedition, and it categorically states, this is the paragraph that is given in the bare act, that whoever words either spoken or written or by signs or by visible representation or otherwise brings or attempts to bring into hatred or contempt or excites or attempts to excite disaffection towards the government established by law in India shall be punished. Now, the gist of this entire paragraph is, if any of your action, your act, your expression, now expression can be, you can convey something even by writing something, by painting something, by poetry, by anything. Expression is not only written or verbal, it goes beyond written and verbal stuffs. Even a cartoon, even a mono acting can be seditious if it falls under this category. So any form of expression which contempts or excites disaffection towards the government, they will be established by law. So government of India is a government established by law that can be punished under this IPC section 124A. Now, what is the punishment? It's a non-bailable offense. So there won't be any bail. Then punishment can vary from imprisonment up to 3 years to a lifetime and fine, of course. That depends on the intensity of the crime that has been committed. Next, person booked under this law cannot apply for a government job, and they have to live without their passport and must present themselves in court as and when required. So we see there are many strict provisions here. These are the reasons why this law is being opposed to the nail by certain section. So how it has evolved all over the years. We started by seeing that it was uh, it was to be used against the Wahhabis who were fighting against the British at that time. Post independence, what happened was, this is what Gandhiji said on IPC 124A: the prince among the political section of the IPC is designed to suppress the liberty of citizens, not post independence. He said this during the time of English. Actually, Gandhiji was booked under sedition law 124A. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was the first person to be booked under this law, and he had to spend 6 years in prison because of section 124A. Then Gandhiji was also uh, booked guilty under this provision. So this is what he called a particular law. And when India became free and the Constituent Assembly was drafting India's constitution, then Sardar Patel was heading the Committee on Fundamental Rights. So there was initially there was this thought that came across their mind that sedition can be a reasonable restriction on freedom of speech and expression. Now, you all must be aware that none of our fundamental rights are absolute, all of them are qualified, which means there are reasonable restrictions on all our fundamental rights. So can sedition be any such reasonable, can sedition be classified under that reasonable restriction category? So initially the committee said yes, but then in Constituent Assembly also this provision was opposed, and consequently this was dropped. That no, sedition cannot be reasonable restriction on freedom of speech and expression. So what finally emerged was that there are 8 grounds for reasonable restriction on freedom of speech and expression. That is, if anything that poses danger, if anything acts as an impediment to the sovereignty and integrity of India, to the public order, security of state, friendly relations with other countries, so on and so forth. There are 8 such categories that will be reasonable restriction. That will be, those 8 categories will be classified as reasonable restriction, but not sedition per se. So that was the final thing that arrived. Now, over all the years, how this law has evolved, let us try to examine them with certain case laws. There is this famous law, famous case law, Kedarnath Singh versus State of Bihar. And there the court said that sedition law is valid. It means that the constitutional uh, validity of the law was being upheld. But court also said in the same decision that freedom of speech and expression are very important. This is the Supreme Court. And this freedom of speech and expression should not be used to incite violence, which means 124, there is something called Article 13 in the Indian Constitution, which calls for judicial review, implicitly calls for judicial review, which says that if any law which is made by the legislature and it violates its antithesis to the Constitution, that can be scrapped. What about those laws which were made before the Constitution was made, like this IPC Section 124 made by Macaulay way back in 1870s? If at all any provision violates the Constitution, that can also be scrapped through a judicial review provided by Article 13 of the Indian Constitution. So here, applying the same Article 13 provision, the Supreme Court said that law is good. Law cannot be done away with. We need citizen law, but we also need this freedom of speech and expression, and that freedom of speech and expression should not be used to incite violence. Else, you will be a fit case to apply sedition law. And inciting violence, why the court said so? Because if you ask someone to, damage public property, uh, beat anyone who represents the state, police, or administration people, then that is detrimental, adversely detrimental to public order. And public order is one of those 8 criteria through which reasonable restriction can be imposed on freedom of speech and expression. So if your call, if you are pleading people or you are inciting individuals to indulge into acts of violence, then that is detrimental, that is adversely affecting the public order, which is a fit ground for sedition law. That was the thing that was established in section in Kedarnath case. And Article 19 Clause 2 says the First Amendment came when this provision was contemplated on, and it replaced undermining the security of state with interest of public order, which means that the security of state that is being jeopardized through certain actions of the individuals. Security of state is a very broad term, so here public order was chosen upon, that let us bring it to public order instead of security of state. That was the thing that was done to Article 19 Clause 2. So anything against the public order, and it's a fit case for sedition law. There was next case which said Balwant Singh case. Now this is in the wake of Khalistan movement, and Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was killed by Khalistani terrorists, and there were lots of sloganeering going on. Certain section of people in Punjab believe that they need they wanted to break away from India. Khalistan Jindabad and Raj Karega Khalsa were the slogans that were going on. So, do those slogans, can anyone be put under if they raise these slogans? So here again in the court in 1995 decided that mere slogans do not amount to sedition, but if they incite people to go for an armed rebellion against the state, that is sedition. So if you are just sloganing, if you are raising slogans, it's fine. But the moment, because of those slogans, if someone gets excited, or you yourself get excited and indulge into acts of violence, something very similar to what we saw in the last case. Now, in year 2015, the famous Shreya Singh versus Union of India case, Supreme Court said that any idea or any ideology can be propagated. Like there are certain ideologies that are very contrary to the democratic values of India. There are certain ideas that calls for a total annihilation of state. So if someone likes Maoism or Marxism as Karl Marx proposed, so he talks about withering away of state. So that can be done. Even that can be done. A call for a communist state can be uh, easily propagated, can be talked about. But if at all there is a violence because of that, then there will be sedition, which means sloganing will not amount to booking you any individual. Sloganing is not equal to sedition, and that can be the stupidest of the slogans. You can get away by saying Bharat tere tukre honge. You can get away with that, but if someone starts to engage into acts that will really break India, that would be sedition. This is what Supreme Court latest judgment is. So in a democracy, singing from the same songbook is not a benchmark of patriotism. People should be at liberty to show their affection towards their country in their own way. And for doing the same, one might indulge in constructive criticism or debates, pointing out to the loopholes in the policy of the government. Now, this is the Law Commission of India, which has quoted this on sedition law in 2018, because this entire picture, entire sedition law was coming in criticism. There was so much of contradictory views emerging on it, that Law Commission on India tried to analyze it, and this is what they concluded. So even the Law Commission says that dissent is not sedition, but then a call for violence because of that dissent is certainly sedition. Now, it can be invoked in cases where the intention behind any act is to disrupt public order. Again, the key word here is public order, or to overthrow the government with violence and illegal means. Anyone can criticize the government. We see that happening every day. You read a newspaper, you watch TV debates, you see names being called to the prime minister. And in democracy, these things happen. This is how a mature democracy behaves, when you accept dissent. But then if there is a call, if those things are against the public order, if stone pelting is going on, if people are coming out on streets with weapons and attacking police or anything, then that is against the public order. And if there is a call to overthrow the elected government through violence or illegal means, then Section 124A can be applied. So every irresponsible exercise of right to free speech and expression cannot be termed seditious. This is again the Law Commission. Law Commission also said that if someone says out of frustration that India is not safe for women, or India is like no country for women, India is no country for minorities. If someone says this because he witnesses one or two incidences which frustrates him as a concerned citizen, even that is not sedition, because there were cases where people were booked for merely saying these things. Later on, of course, the cases were scrapped. Only when you act on what you say, if you believe that India needs to be broken into many small fragments, and you start planning and executing that plan, then you will be booked under Section 124A. So an important question here, how to strike a balance between Section 124A and right to freedom of speech and expression, because in the name of liberty, we cannot allow individuals to really act against the national integrity and sovereignty of country. But then in the name of national security and sovereignty, not every dissent can be called sedition. So there has to be a judicious balance between the two. So please attempt to write this question. And that is all I had to present today. We'll meet again. Thank you so much for listening.